Welcome back to Taking Care of Business, the Success Stories edition. And this week I am joined by Senior Mortgage Advisor, the one and only Queen, Amy Dixon.
Hi guys.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Big topic to start off our conversation this morning. Just off camera a moment ago, we were talking about a female James Bond. How do you feel about that?
Women boss.
Women of Us. Spoiler alert, there might be a
alert.
There might be a female James Bond, so I hope we haven't spoiled it for you. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know how I feel about that.
There's a lot of processing going on here. I mean, listen, I'm all for empowering women and, I don't know, women in tuxedos. Not sure.
I'm not down for that.
I'm on the fence at the moment, so I'm going to watch it tonight with my wife. So yeah, we'll see how we get with that. So Amy, you've been with us just over 2 years now. 2 years August.
2 years, August 19, yeah.
Wow, how time has flown.
It literally has.
Is it felt like a long 2 years, or has it felt like it's gone quickly? Because in 2 years since you've joined us, not long afterwards, COVID hit.
Yeah, 6 months in.
It was a good
I
start.
was shipped off to home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. So you joined us in August 2020. What did you do in the UK before joining Allsop and Allsop as a mortgage advisor?
So originally I did law. So I worked at a solicitor's, 9 to 5, but I was actually working like...
You were the secretary doing all the typing and...
No, I was an assistant
conveyancer.
conveyancer.
Very posh.
Yeah, so it's assistant conveyancer.
Yeah.
Obviously it was salaried, it was 9 to 5. I was actually doing like overtime every day. I was getting kicked out by the security man every night at 10 o'clock, commuting an hour and a half each way, and getting just my basic salary, and that was that. And then my friend was doing mortgages, self-employed, and she was like, I can work anywhere, I work for myself, I can just wake up and just go and work wherever I want to work that day, start late, work late, finish early, and I'm making way more money than what you are in that 9 to 5 job. So I sacked my job off, quit.
And you went into mortgage advising in the UK?
Went into mortgage
How old
advising
were
in
you?
the UK. I was 23.
Wow, okay.
22, 23.
Yeah.
Had to go right back to basics, go in as a trainee on like 15k, I think it was, annually, sit on my CMAP, then go to an academy, do 3 months training, like on the job training, and then went self-employed. I did that for a year, then quit and moved here.
Wow. So 22, 23 years, 3 years old, not having a salary, bit daunting.
Yeah.
Has it always been in you, that sense of risk taking?
I've always worked like multiple jobs.
Okay.
Since I was like 12, so.
So what, like selling sweets, biscuits, and then
No,
as you
my
got a bit
mum
older?
had a hairdresser. She used to pay me £5 to work a whole Saturday.
Okay.
Child labour.
Yeah, I used to. My dad used to give me £1 for cleaning his car when I was younger, and I wouldn't be able to get anything until I cleaned his car properly. So, you've gone through your training, you've done your mortgage advisor, you've been a year there. Like, how did Divide come about? Because
so it was the same friend.
Okay.
She did a mortgage for Cameron's mum in the UK. She was like, oh, my son's a recruiter, there's mortgage jobs coming up. So she actually got the job to move here in 2017.
Okay.
And then ended up having a baby and never came. So I kind of just did what she was planning to do instead. Messaged Cameron on Instagram, basically saying, do you have any jobs? There wasn't any advertisement for mortgages at the time. He rang me straight away, was like, yeah, come over. And then that was that. Off I came, never been here before.
It's strange, isn't it?
Straight on a plane.
Most people come and join Allsop and Allsop from the UK have never been before. It's mad.
Weird, yeah. I had the interview with Cameron, then I had the interview with Stuart, sold my car, put a tenant in my house, moved back to my mum and dad's for 2.5 months, so I could run down my pipeline of business in the UK. And then as soon as that paid, got on a flight.
What did your old employee say when you said I'm moving to Dubai?
His final words were, well, first of all, he wouldn't speak to me. Told me to give my laptop back and leave the office.
Okay.
Then I went to Ibiza the next day for 4 days.
Yeah.
Got back, had a message from him saying, come into the office for a chat. Went in and he was just like, what are you going to do? Because obviously Ellen had just quit the month before to come here. Another guy that we worked with had quit the same day as me to set up on himself as competition.
It's a bad day then, really, for that company.
So then I went in and said, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Obviously he told me to get out. Went back the week later, he was like, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to Dubai. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, I think you'll find it very different there. And that was that. Never spoke to me again.
Nice. And I'm pretty sure whatever he's doing now, you're probably earning quite a fair bit more after tax than what he is.
Yeah.
It's an interesting theme, isn't it? People, particularly people in seniority, they're very defensive when people leave. And I think I in early years was perhaps a little bit got caught up in that, but I think not enough people happy to see other people, particularly going to a new country.
I think obviously it was a bad month for him because he lost 3 of us in one go, but
okay.
On to bigger and better.
So you moved to Dubai in the August as a mortgage advisor. Team was reasonably...
There was 4 of us.
Yeah.
Plus Stu.
Okay, and that's what, 3 times that size now? Is there what, 12, 13, 14 in there now?
What is there? 7 advisors, Stuart, Ellen and Danielle.
Yeah. So I think the best part of 10. So you've seen huge change in a couple of years. How have you found it, honestly?
The first 2 months were really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
What, work or personally?
Both. Just trying to settle in, moving into shared accommodation, getting sorted. Obviously I was like just calling out. Nothing really seemed to be happening.
Yeah.
Had a couple of mental breakdowns.
Yeah.
I cried a lot.
Yeah.
Stuart was like, "You're doing all the right things. It will happen."
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until the October that I started putting money on the board. Came top of the team that month. November was average.
How did that feel, by the way? Because obviously 2 months missing home, having breakdowns, so to speak, and then all of a sudden thinking, "Oh, actually, I can do this." How did you feel about that?
That was a turning point, I feel.
So you thought, like, I can do this?
Yeah, because I was, 2 months in by then? Mm-hmm. My money had obviously drastically been spent.
Yeah.
Nothing was on the board, and I was like, I just need money on the board, and then I know it's coming back in at some point.
Yeah.
So that obviously happened in October. And then it's kind of just been up and up and up since then. Obviously lockdown happened, that was a bit of a plummet, but for everyone.
How did you deal with that? Because obviously you're only 7 months into the job, and then basically be told from the government really to stay at home for, what was it, 6 weeks? Something like that. It was quite a long time, wasn't it?
It was a long time, yeah. It was quite daunting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say I was by myself, so I was living with Ellen, but she'd gone back to the UK 3 days before the border shut.
And she got stuck, didn't she?
Stuck. So I'm stuck here on my own, locked down. We couldn't go outside or anything. So yeah, it was tough.
What did you do in your job? Because obviously you're speaking to people in the same situation where they can't leave their house.
Yeah.
Were people open to speaking to you during lockdown?
I got shut down so many times. People literally thought I was taking the
Really?
I don't know if my job's stable, my salary's being cut, I'm on leave. Absolutely not.
So how did you deal with that?
I just
carry on?
Rang hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Just kept going. And to be fair, I've had a lot of deals come off the back of it this year.
Yeah.
That I've just randomly carried on WhatsApping sporadically throughout the last 12 months. And a lot has come off the back of working through that time.
Yeah. I think people probably remember people more during that period for not probably selling too much to them and just checking in. Look, I know obviously what we're going through is a bit of a strange time, but we're here if you need us, sort of thing. It was a strange time, you'd been told for 6 weeks we couldn't do any viewings and didn't do anything really.
Yeah,
it was just,
I know.
How do you deal with that?
And obviously the banks changed everything.
Yeah.
Deposits went lower, criteria got stricter, they stopped doing certain industries, so it was tough and trying to keep a lot of deals together.
During that period, did you think about quitting?
No, never.
Never?
No,
Why?
never.
Where's that
It wasn't an option. It wasn't an option. Everyone in the UK kept saying come home, it's locked down, it's dangerous, you need to come back. And I was like, I don't want to come back.
There was a saying, fight or flight.
Yeah, it was.
You run away or you put up a fight, and it's interesting, on your own, the easiest option would be to jump on a plane.
Exactly. It would have been, but obviously Ellen was there. We didn't know when she was going to be able to get back in. I didn't want to go home and ride it out in the UK not knowing if it was going to be a few weeks or a few months. And obviously I just got myself on track. I didn't want to then have to reset by leaving and coming back again. And
then what happened after? Because obviously lockdown finished, it was like this explosion of activity. Where obviously from a banking perspective, they were readily and freely lending money in terms of people were able to buy a house with 20% deposit rather than 25%. And obviously the back end of 2020 was surprisingly very lucrative for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I kept saying all the way through, like, when we go back in June, I'm going to have a PB. It's going to be a PB month. I think people thought I was crazy. They were like, are you insane?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's buying anything. I was like, no, I feel like I'm going to be so busy. And I did. I came back, I did a PB. And I just went from strength to strength to strength all the way through then.
Where's that coming from? Because you've said a couple of times now, like your mentality of not following the crowd and being, I don't know, always looking on the positive side. Where does that come from in terms of family life back home? You know, is there any, where do you think you get that from? Because it's really interesting.
I don't know. I've always been like, well, going home was never an option.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do the whole, I'm leaving, I'm going to Dubai.
Any
starting a new
family
life.
members have that way of thinking in terms of?
My mum and dad have obviously worked really hard all the way through. They've always worked like stupid hours.
Yeah.
So it's just always just been
That
drilled
work,
into
sense
me.
of working's
My
always
dad
been-
is very much like, save your money, don't buy shoes, don't buy handbags. Why are you buying this? Like, you need to like be careful with your money, save it, don't rent. So I think it's just come from that really.
My mum still tells me now, by the way, she says, make sure you got rainy day money. I said, don't worry, mum, I'm saving, don't you worry. But it is a strange, it is the mentalities now. My mentality is not save, invest.
Yeah.
And you've done that
Not
recently.
quite there yet with like investments.
No, but you've
Obviously,
done it
I've got
recently.
property.
You just bought
Yeah.
a property. Well, so you've only been here 2 years and you bought a property, what, 6 months ago?
April.
It's amazing. 18 months in Dubai, you've managed to get on the ladder. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how that come about.
How did it come about? I don't really know. Obviously, it was always the plan to buy, probably not as quickly as I did.
Do you think lockdown helped Joe in terms of saving?
I think obviously the savings happened,
Yeah.
and the prices at that point were kind of on the way down-ish. By the time we actually found what we wanted, they had started going back up. Like we had quite a few contracts out where sellers had changed their mind by the time it came to them signing, so that was a bit frustrating. But obviously we found something. Eventually, ripped it all apart.
So you've done all the work to it, living there
Everything's
now.
done, yeah. A couple
Amazing.
of bits to do, just like decoration, but
So what about your job then? So I said to Karine in the last interview I had, Dubai real estate historically is changing. Is predominantly a male dominant environment. We are starting to see some amazing female people come into the industry. How have you found it? You know, your team where it has been very.
I honestly haven't struggled with that
Okay.
at all.
How do you think clients take a view of dealing with a female?
I think
Does it
you
matter?
obviously get a lot more of the wives
Yeah.
on board. But no, I've not had any struggles with being a female.
Do you think people treat you differently in a good way?
So
No.
no, I don't think so.
No.
Obviously, I have myself got a lot tougher
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah.
Whereas I used to be a little bit of a pushover.
Yeah. It does. I think.
But you have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would just.
Well, unlike being living in a new country, you know, you're away from family, you're away from your support system, and I think, you know, when you do have setbacks, you can't hide in the hole, can you?
No, there is nowhere to hide. There's no salary, is there? So you have to survive.
What about your job then? So you work as a now senior mortgage advisor. You were promoted the start of last year, which was amazing. Just over 14 months got promoted, and that just shows how well you've done.
Yeah.
What are the hardest parts in your job? Because mortgages in Dubai is a minefield. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. The hardest part is trying to convince people to use a mortgage broker over being loyal to their bank.
To me, it's common sense. But like for someone watching this video today and listening to you, why would someone use Amy Dixon as a mortgage advisor? So apart from being a lovely lady, why? What's the reason? You see it from the back end.
Reason. No. Obviously, banks are just hard work.
Okay.
Generally, over here, it's very tedious. It's very kind of old school paperwork, slow. They tell you what you want to hear. It's not necessarily what you're going to get. In the end, obviously, I do all of that, take all of that away. Plus, I will get them the best rates, which their bank will tell them they're getting the best rate, but they're only getting the best rate from what they can offer, not countrywide what is the best option for them.
I've obviously first-hand bought multiple properties quite recently, to be fair, and I see mortgage advisors have also been as kind of like a translator, where you kind of cut through all of the things that don't need to be heard or not said, and actually get to the point of, this is what you're paying, these are the terms, this is what you need to know, these are the documents I need. I'll go and do everything else for you. And I think the biggest part of your role is the amount of time you save people. You know, when in the early years when I had to get an auto loan or anything like that, I might have to get through a series of 3 or 4 emails to get to the point which needs to be achieved. Whereas you guys, you know, this and this, we'll get you this, and normally within a week or so we can get whether it's approval or anything like that. So I think the time element is huge, isn't it?
The time element, it's come down a lot recently.
Yeah.
But obviously, we just tell the clients what they need to know when they need to know it, rather than dragging things out and
giving them too much information as well.
Yeah, and false promises as well, which banks tend to do a lot.
Yes, very much so. What about situations where you've had some uncomfortable situations with deals where you've kind of helped people fit within certain timelines? You got any examples of that? Because I think having a really good mortgage advisor can actually help a buyer work within quite tight deadlines to buy a house. Because in Dubai, if you buy a house, you enter into a contract. Typically, the time frame of when a deal has to be completed by, and if it's not, normally there are penalties associated with that. So
obviously we get all the documents in. We get the MOUs, which has got the dates on. So sometimes it's a long MOU. So we need to manage, obviously, not doing things too quickly, because we don't want things to expire and then have to pay for things twice. But then when it's short, obviously we're then on the ball, ringing the banks multiple times a day, getting things through, pushing things where it needs to be pushed. We know what we can start the next step before we kind of get to that point, to cut out a lot of wasted time. So we obviously manage that side of it as well, whereas a normal bank, they would just wait for that, then move on, then move on, then move on, whereas we can kind of juggle a lot of plates at the same time.
Yeah, I think the difference with the advisors as well is that you guys, whilst you're very busy and have lots of clients, you're not one of thousands in a bank. You may be one of hundreds.
Yeah.
Where we can spend a bit more time dealing with that. For someone actually sitting at home today, sitting in the UK, they're on the laptop, it's wet, it's cold, and they're looking outside and they're thinking, I don't like this very much. What advice would you give to someone today thinking about making a move to Dubai with Allsop and Allsop, whether it's in mortgages or real estate? What advice would you give?
Just do it.
Just do it.
I honestly didn't give it that much of a thought. I just packed my bag and got on the plane.
Okay. But there are lots of people that
never look back,
that think too much and think about the what ifs.
I think if you overthink it, you'll talk yourself out of it, because it is a massive thing.
Yeah. Do you think people coming into the job have too high expectations too soon?
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I've learned from speaking to you today is that actually sticking things out and going through the tough patches, really, good things do come up.
Exactly. I mean, it takes a while to get consistency. But now, like every month, I just sit down and write, like, that's what I want to hit. I have no idea where I'm getting the work from.
Yeah.
But so far, I've kind of got there most months.
Yeah.
So
I think visualization is very powerful, you know. When I first started estate agency many years ago when dinosaurs were around, my old boss used to kind of, at the start of each year, I used to have pictures of things that I had on my desk or in my diary. There's something I wanted to do that year. So if I wanted to achieve that, I knew subconsciously that's what I wanted. And lo and behold, a lot of the time, most of the things happened. Before we wrap up, obviously we've talked about you today and your journey and you getting here to Dubai. Obviously we talked about people saying just do it. So what surprised you most about coming here, working at Allsop and Allsop, or working in Dubai?
Just how much, like once you're inside the building, you forget where you are. It just literally feels like you're in the UK.
Okay.
I was like obviously terrified when you're in the UK and you get all these things like, oh, you're not going to be able to do this, you can't wear this, you can't do that. If you go there, you're going to get arrested. It's not like that at all. Obviously, you just got to behave yourself, but it's not like if you go outside wearing the wrong dress, you're going to be thrown in prison, which is kind of where I was at before I came here.
A lot of people think that way. A lot of people still think that things have relaxed a lot over the years, but people think, oh, I mean, like the UK as well. If you behave badly, you're gonna
Yeah.
be reprimanded. What about when you come here? You thought this is what it's gonna be like. Is there anything that you thought it is what you thought it would be?
No.
No, nothing. So it's just all fine and dandy here, all up and all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, plodding away through.
Good, very good. Well, look, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you very much for your time. Anyone that wants to reach out to Amy, you have got various social media channels, platforms.
Yeah, Instagram.
What's your email address you can shout out to people?
Email.
Yes.
amy.d@allsupandallsup.com.
And what about your Snapchat, Instagram? Is it like Fuzzy Fox, something like that on there?
No, just my name, Amy
your name,
Louise.
Just search Amy Louise and
Amy
ask
Louise,
if you want
92.
if you want a mortgage, she can help you. But honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. What you've achieved in your, at your age, you bought a house here in Dubai. You've done what you've done. You've become a senior within 14 months. Is absolutely incredible. You are a pleasure to work with.
Thank you.
And anyone that is looking for a mortgage, genuinely speaking, there isn't many mortgage advisors that will speak honestly, speak transparently, but also work for you. You're not just a number. You're someone that we will help, and we'll try and get you the best product and try and help you find a perfect home for you.
Yes, we will.
On that note, thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.